North Melbourne Footy Club, and you're listening to another episode of the Hashtag Kangaroos podcast.
Whatever I've been through, the moment I see you, things start looking over.
Welcome to another episode. My name is Dean Vasic. You can find me on X at Hashtag Kangas, Instagram Hashtag Kangaroos podcast. Also live on YouTube now, so feel free to jump in and ask some questions. I'm joined once again by Claire and Jacinta to review another win against a very high quality opposition on the weekend. On Friday night, I should say. Girls, welcome to the show. Claire, before we start anything, you recently started a Substack. Just explain to the listeners what you have going on there.
Oh, thanks, Dean. It's a bit of a. I kind of have been a bit, I guess, disappointed with the lack of coverage that the women's team have got in the AFL media and the mainstream media. I just think that I'd like some more articles and some more really good analysis of what they've been able to do this season. And I thought, okay, well, let's stop complaining and let's start writing. So I kind of did a big open letter describing kind of the history, the short but very rich history of North Melbourne Women's and their links to Melbourne Uni. And I guess it all starts back in 2009, which not many people know. So it's a bit of a detailed, long piece. But it's just something that I wanted to share with the supporters. And I know a couple of the girls and people in the club got to read it and they reached out to me, which was really nice. So, yeah, it's just an opportunity, I think, Dean, to celebrate what a wonderful season this club has and how they've performed and how amazing it is in context to where they came from. So, yeah, if you're listening, then give it a read if you want. It's pretty good gear, I would have thought.
Yeah, well, it's on your X account, so you can just go through there. I retweeted the link the other day, and I'm sure you can put in another link as well, Claire. Probably after the episode, I might, put the link out as well in the show notes. And, definitely, it's very detailed for people, that are interested in the history of the North Melbourne women's team. I learned a lot from it. So, and, I've only been following it for a few seasons now, the women's team, since about 2020 or something like that. I did watch them early, but I didn't know the full history. And even going back before that, I learned a lot about Emma Carney and what she did before AFLW and so forth. So I definitely recommend it. I know it went to a few players. I sent it out to a few players, and they really enjoyed the read as well, Claire. So, fantastic effort. She did put a lot of effort into it.
Thanks for that, Dean. Sorry, I appreciate your kindness and support on that. That's very nice of you. So thank you very much for that. No
problems at all, Claire. It's definitely a good read. Jacinta, now you messaged me during the day. You said you had an interesting stat you wanted to share with me. Please share it. This better be good. Don't waste my time.
Oh yeah, now I'm thinking that maybe it wasn't so good. But first, I just wanted to second your thoughts on Claire's article because I also really loved it. I got a lot out of it as well. But back to the stats. I was just having a look at the time on ground, like the quarter by quarter breakdowns, and I don't know if the AFL published them, so you might have seen them, but I don't actually know what is available for the public and what's not anymore. So anyway, I just found the strategy around the interchange really interesting. I saw that Adelaide basically had all their guns playing 100% of game time, like Randall, Marinoff, Ponta, whereas North seemed to play their not to be harsh because they're obviously better than this, but lesser lights in quotation marks in the first half, and they kind of brought out the big guns for the second half. So, for example, let me just have a look at these numbers. Garner played 80% of the first three quarters, but then she played 100% of the last. Birch played 85% of the first three, and then 100% of the last. O'Shea played 70% of the first three, then 100% of the last. And Riddell played 75% of the first three, and then 90% of the last. So, I guess then in comparison to players like Smith and Craven and Tripodi, they spent most of their minutes on the field in the first half rather than in the last quarter where they only played around 40% each. So I'm not sure if this is a season-long trend because I didn't have time to look back and compare. But I do think it was really good management by the club because I just think it gave the younger girls a run against a good side like Adelaide, and then it also seemed to help in the last quarter in terms of us having more legs. But I know it seems like a logical strategy to have your stars fresh and on the field in the last quarter, but Adelaide didn't do that. So I just found it interesting. I don't know if you find that stuff interesting, but I love the interchange bench stats. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I do. I am very curious in statistical, scarcity. I suppose you can call it, like stats that just aren't your normal, like possessions, tackles, and all that sort of thing. So I do find it interesting, especially. I don't know if it had anything to do with maybe a 5-day break, playing on Sunday and then having to travel coming up Friday night as well, going against high quality opposition, and maybe you want to have those fresh legs towards the end of the game. And it probably did make a difference to Jacinta in the end. We were able to run out the game, I felt like, pretty well. I know the Crows kicked a couple of goals in a couple of minutes, but we really closed the game well in that probably last 10, 15 minutes and pretty much stopped any chance of Adelaide winning the game.
Yeah, it did feel like that. It was like Adelaide just had that adrenaline burst for that first 5 minutes, and then it just looked like, I mean, North did really well to shut the game down, but they did seem to run a little bit out of legs. They kind of lost a little bit of that spread. So I don't know if it has to do with the interchange or if North just really played them really well. I'm not sure, but it probably played a part. Yeah, like you said, the 5-day break probably also played a role in it too.
All right, Claire, let's get cracking into this game. It wasn't pretty at times, but the girls had to work hard, and particularly at the end, to win this one, didn't they? Just like we were talking about with Jacinta there.
Yeah, 100%. And that is a really interesting stat, Jacinta, just throwing that back. That's really, I like watching time on ground, so I'm going to keep that up for Gold Coast Suns game next week. But, pretty mature performance, Dean. It was really interesting to watch them find a different gear. And what that, I mean, is the tempo football is in the last, I think there were times where they're happy to reel and go when they had, the half forwards out at a stretch and they, Talia Randall was able to kind of kick off the boot and find Martin in the forward 50 and transition really quickly. But then they also had the capacity to stop and just do a lot of in-tight contested football. I was really impressed with Mia King and Amy Smith, particularly as well. I just think Amy Smith gets to so many contests and applies so much pressure. My favourite part, though, I still think is O'Shea's rundown on Munyard in the first quarter. That was just clutch. That was just so good to watch. So I think we've been saying for a couple of weeks now, we've needed a bit of a challenge. We've had some pretty easy opposition, with all due respect, and that was the challenge we needed that kind of got us, I guess, in shape for finals. Even Jazz Ferguson after the game sort of said the crowd was a bit hostile. It was final-like pressure, and it was a good kind of reminder of what to expect in the coming weeks. So it's exciting. It's very exciting. It's really good to beat Adelaide over there as well. I think that's a huge notch in the belt for the confidence factor. And, I guess last week we spoke about how we'd never seen North kick out, and we had plenty of opportunity to watch it this week. So it's good to know that we've got some options in the defensive 50 kick out.
Yeah, well, we've got probably till Emma Carney comes back in, and that would be around prelim final. Probably after this week, it's only 2 weeks away till she comes back. She's the main girl that kicks it in. I suppose Libby Birch kicked a couple. Tess Craven gets down there. So, yeah, it's interesting to look at that, I suppose. Because we haven't had too many kick-outs this year. But, Jacinta, I remember you talking last week that when we were previewing the game, that it'll be good for these girls to get a close game. It was certainly close in the end. The Crows missed a few chances, like we talked about in that second quarter. But I still think, on overall balance, we did enough to win the game.
Yeah, it almost felt like they were like manufacturing it. Like, let's just give away a couple of goals and so we can put all these systems in place. Now, I'm sure they didn't do that, but it just, it gives me more confidence. I'm sure it gives them a lot more confidence to see that, I guess, everything that they've worked on all year and all through the preseason, that when things do get a little bit tight, they are able to shut the game down. I mean, they have been able to do it when teams like Sydney and even Richmond, when they got a little bit of a run on, they have been able to shut it down and then rebound the other way. But I think on Friday night, it was like they weren't even trying to score. Like, North really just thought, let's just lock the ball in and that's it. That's our main task, just run down the clock. And I think it really worked well. And I think that it's going to hold them in good stead. I think it'll be good for Crocker to have something to, show the girls as well, to say, look, you can do this. If things get a little bit nervy, we can shut the game down. And then, I think it's good for us fans as well to see, no, we can still hold on and win this game. But, they did look pretty comfortable most of the time. I think after that second goal that Adelaide got, I was, a little bit worried, but then we killed a couple minutes off the clock after that, and I thought, okay, we're good.
Yeah, and that's a fair point by Jacinta there, Claire. I mean, we spoke off air that it's not just the ability to kick goals and kick goals quickly. We're a good, open, uncontested team, but when the game needs to be killed and we didn't want an uncontested game, we had that ability to just shut the game down, turn into stoppages. I think Darren Crocker put Neve Martin behind the ball, on the ball, I should say, for periods, turning it into a real contest, and it really killed the game off, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that was a really great idea by Crocker. I also think Kate Shillor did swing back at times just to sort of play.
Yeah, I did say that.
Yeah, as a fourth kind of defender, which I thought was a smart move. But yeah, it's definitely promising that they can adapt. I thought that Adelaide's ground was quite narrow, and so it didn't allow for our usual run and carry as much as I would have liked. I think the wide open spaces of Arden Street and ideally Icon Park when we play in the grand final offered that more width and space. So it was really interesting to see the girls adapt to a different game style and how they would kind of approach that. Very impressed by the fact that despite the quick succession of goals, there was sort of no panic. The camera kind of just swayed to the interchange bench, and I was watching Mia King sort of just address Neve Martin again and sort of set her up with like, you're going to go on ball. And this is like, it actually even like stood there for 30 seconds. It went to them on the bench, and it was very much Mia King addressing a younger player and saying, this is what you're going to do for the next 5 minutes. And this is what we need from you. So it just shows you the amount of leadership in the team as well, and how different sort of players, especially younger players, again, elevate and step up to sort of support, our star players as well. So yeah, an incredible performance. Really, really pleased with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were pretty pleased with the win, Jacinta and Claire. I was ecstatic that we were able to win it. But judging by the players straight after the game, they looked like they had unfinished business. Like they were happy to win the game, but it looked like, we're happy to get through. But this doesn't mean anything in the end. It's almost like they're looking, well, it's either premiership or nothing, really.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to make them too happy until they get back on grand final day and win. But yeah, I am with you now. When you put it like that, it probably is what they were, what they were feeling. Because at first I thought, maybe they're just a bit flat that they gave away those couple goals and then, made it a little bit nervy for themselves. But yeah, you're probably right. They're probably just in mission mode and just thinking, just tick the box and move on.
Yeah, I can't help but feel that when they won the prelim against Adelaide last year by that point, and they had the grand final week, and it was their first grand final week, which is amazing because I was just overwrought with emotion as well, and I'm only a fan. So I think what they've done is really keep it to very much the cliche of 1 week at a time, and just not letting themselves get ahead, which I think is a very grounded way to approach your football. It's probably the smartest way, but yeah, sometimes you look at the winner's circle and you think, okay, you've got, 2 minutes to soak this up and enjoy. And then I imagine as soon as they get into the club rooms, it's all about recovery, and it's all about just sort of being professional and setting yourself up for the next game. So I like that they've got that, massive sort of goal in mind. My only caveat is that sometimes this is easily the greatest season of football that I've been able to watch as a member of this club, and I worry sometimes that they're not soaking it all in and they're not realizing what they're achieving is incredible. Like, they're undefeated and we're in round 9. So look, I totally get it from the grounded point of view and the humble point of view of trying to get to grand final day, but yeah, I think it would be really great for them to sort of sit back and see what they've achieved. So it's kind of mixed for me,
Yeah, I'd like to see him, still celebrate. I mean, obviously they celebrate a win, but yeah, I mean, it just felt like, able to get through. Yeah, it was almost like Jacinta said, it was almost a little bit of disappointment. We conceded a couple of goals in the last, but look, it's good to have those high standards, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I mean, you still got to celebrate those small wins, and you can't put too much pressure on yourself to just win a premiership and that's it. So yeah, I mean, they should be celebrating based on the fact that they've had the toughest draw. They had 3 games in 8 days in horrible conditions. They had to travel to Adelaide again this year. They seem to travel to Brisbane, Adelaide, Casey Fields. against all the top teams every year on the fixture. No one else seems to get it, but unfortunately we do. So it would be nice for them to celebrate. And hopefully they can, celebrate this week after we knock off Gold Coast and, win a minor premiership. So it's still important to celebrate those small wins. Not to be too critical. If they want to be like, if they want to sort of set themselves, well, we don't really care about minor premierships and so forth. We want the big one. Then that's fair enough. Who am I to judge them or anything like that?
It is hard though, isn't it, Dean? Because if you look back and look, it's our worst fear. I will say it out loud. Our worst fear is they don't. Then you worry. Yeah. I mean, they will. They absolutely will. But you worry that, and that's partly why I wrote the article, and partly why every game I've tweeted or I've got around it, because I do want to enjoy every win. And I do want to soak it all up because. Yeah, if you don't get the ultimate prize and you don't win it, like think about 1998, North Men's. Like if you don't get there, then you think this season's a write-off because you didn't get the ultimate prize. Whereas I think these girls have performed incredibly every week, and I'm so proud that I get to support them. I consider it a privilege. So, it's just that hard space to sit in. It's having the mission, but enjoying it week by week. I imagine it's a balance act, isn't it?
Look, I've followed them for a few years, and I've enjoyed every year that I've followed them. Probably last year I enjoyed a little bit more, but yeah, I mean I still enjoy this year. I'm loving the fact that they won every game, but I just felt like we broke a lot of things last year, like a lot of records. Like we were able to knock off Melbourne, and a couple other impressive wins, get to a grand final. I think it's maybe it's just the expectation of this year. Yeah. Like I just expect them to win every week, whereas last year, this is really great. So I think
it's the pressure. It's the genuine pressure. Is that like we should win a flag, and the bar is so high. You're right. Last year we knocked so many records down. It was just such a delight to watch. Whereas this year we're like flag or bust, which is pretty crazy. But it is what it is. We've set the goal.
No, that's right. Jacinta, let's talk about some individual players. We had Riddell kicking goals at the start of the year in the midfield, but now we have Jasmine Garner, who has now kicked a goal in her last 6 games. I think she has 10 goals in that period. She just somehow keeps getting better, and she was a difference in the game on the weekend, wasn't she? Just her class and quality really stood out in a tight game, and it makes a big difference having that player.
Yeah, I reckon that was probably her best game of the year. I know stats-wise, she probably had bigger, but I think in terms of the role she played in the middle and then up forward, I think she was just so important. And the thing is with her as well, I think she would actually be our most dangerous forward as well. And it's like we do need her in the midfield, obviously, but it is a nice thought that if we ever did get in a little bit of trouble, we could just chuck her into full forward. But at the moment, she's kicking goals from the midfield anyway, so there's no use even chucking her up forward. But no, she is just a gun. I just don't really have any more words for her, to be honest. It's actually, whenever you ask about Jazzy Garner, she's the hardest one to speak about because it just feels like you're just repeating yourself. It's just you're just on loop on the past 4 years. It's but no, she definitely had her best game for the year in my opinion.
Yeah, she's very humble. She's a very humble girl too. I don't think she's the type of girl that doesn't like the accolades, to be honest with you. But, I mean, you can't help it. When you're that good, you have to talk about her. That's just part and parcel. Kate Sheila was quoted after the game by Darren Crocker to be in career best form. He said she was 36. I think she's 35, so I don't know if she'd be happy with that. I mean, it's hard to argue with that at the moment. 18 disposals, 2 goals, 382 metres gained. Was the third most on the ground, which is crazy for a key forward. She was outstanding, wasn't she?
Yeah, I think it's the versatility of her, Dean. I think it's the fact that she's a running, kicking key forward that can act as a link in the chain as well. If you wanted to sort of push a half forward, clunk a mark and get it into the forward 50, you can also swing it back if you need to. And you can also, she's a reliable set shot. And I think I tweeted something like, Kate Sheila kicking the opening goal. It feels right now. It feels like, it feels like home. It feels like, the most natural response to things. So I think having her and Randall does a lot to alleviate the pressure. And that's why I think Sheila is in career best form. Because often that does happen with forwards. If one forward kicks a bag, the other one sort of has more of a lighter stat sheet. But I think having Randall down there, and I think having her crash and pack marks, and Sheila be the lead up forward to grab it. She's just, and she's getting silver service. There's no denying, when Garner got that intercept sort of mark and handed over to Sheila, and she ran into the forward 50 and kicked the goal. When you get that quality sort of service, it does show on the stat sheet. So she's incredible. Every day I think about how lucky we are to have her, considering both Carlton and St Kilda delisted her, which is just crazy if you ask me. So
I think she left St Kilda in her defence. I mean, we didn't have to pay much for her, but Carlton delisted her. I remember when I had her on. I can't remember exactly what happened, but she obviously wanted to get with Emma Carney, and which makes sense. And we probably were looking for that second key forward at the time, which we're probably just missing. I think we just fell short against the Demons in the prelim final. It makes sense to get her across. Jacinta, one player that doesn't get talked about at all, and I'm guilty of this as well, is probably Kim Rennie. She plays a role every week as a relief ruckman, competes really hard in the air and on the ground. She did that 30-metre tap inside forward 50 in the third quarter, which led to a Garner goal, I think. No stats for it, but she's a good player, isn't she?
Yeah, she's actually a really interesting one because she only touched the ball 3 or 4 times, but she's just a really smart, a really, really smart footballer. And you can see, her brain ticking, especially in those, when we need to shut the game down, she's just really good at just knocking that ball just straight down back to her feet. And then, when we want to score, she does smash the ball forward. Sometimes you think, we could probably just, drop her and go a little bit smaller, but I really don't think that we ever should do that because she is really important structurally. I think that her and Emma King really work well together. I think they've kind of worked out a good system in terms of when we are in, lockdown mode, one of them will go back, or I know Emma King tends to go the other way. Emma King goes forward and Rennie tends to go a little bit further back. But no, she's a really, really important player. We need her and we need Emma King both fully firing and on the ball, I guess, because she's definitely really underrated. She just goes about her business every week and then shows up the next week and does it again.
She keeps showing up as almost the second ruckman to just Emma King at the moment. Claire, are you a fan of Kim Rennie? Do you like how she goes about her business every week without any fuss and any fanfare?
Yeah, I think she's got a really good head on her shoulders. Just all about the team. Just understands who she's tapping down to and what sort of star dynamic that is and how to get the best out of that sort of setup as well. I think sometimes, probably not in this game against Adelaide, but against some of the lesser light teams like your Western Bulldogs and your Sydney, I did watch her at times become sort of a fourth midfielder and be able to sort of be an outlet handball in the stoppages and things like that. So again, it's just having that sort of versatility and her having the capacity to sort of understand and be aware and know who's around her and who to feed off to. So she definitely is, Dean, because there's so many stars in that team. Yeah. We just don't get to talk to her about her as much as we do. But, hopefully in 3 or 4 weeks' time, we can call her a premiership winning ruckman, which is the dream, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Interesting question to Darren Crocker after the game on the weekend, Jacinta. And he was asked who is the most important player to the North Melbourne Football Club. Now, we mentioned a few that are really stepped up their game. I mean, if there's one player you don't want to lose, outside of Jasmine Garner, Ash Riddell, maybe a couple of others, if there's one player that you don't want to lose, who would that be, you think, that's really important to the structure of this team?
I actually didn't hear his answer, but I would say Variety or Ferguson would be one of them. We really would not want to lose one of them. I don't know if would you count Sheila in the obvious basket of Garner and them, but I would probably go Variety or Fergo. We don't want to lose either of them. Well, who did he say?
He mentioned a few names. He obviously mentioned Garner. He mentioned Mia King's really stepped up her game as well as a good third mid. I can't remember who he mentioned after that, but he did mention a couple of names like that. But I guess, Claire, I mean, it's not about the me, it's about the we. I mean, we don't want to lose anyone at the end of the day. And I think we've got enough depth to cover anyone if someone does get injured. I mean, we've lost Emma Carney, And
Yeah.
I was really worried about that one because obviously she gives a lot of run from behind the ball, but we seem to have covered it really well with Tess Craven and Erica O'Shea as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like I was talking to a guy on Twitter today. He was asking, do we rest some players against Gold Coast? And I think that's the beauty of this team, that if you did want to, you've got Lulu Puller and you've got Eliza Shannon just waiting in the wings, which gives us a lot. I don't like to really flirt with form personally. I'm not Brad Scott 2016 or whatever it was when he rested all the players and changed the rules for the rest of the entire AFL history. Yeah. But no, look, I do think we have. It's a credit to the team, though, because I think what's happened is that they've not just playing, if you want to run Taylor Gatt, yeah, she can run the wing, but then she can also play a half-back if she wants. So we do, if someone goes down and touch all the wood that's in your house right now, but if someone did, you do have the ability and some magnets to throw around because, like Tess Craven can go back and play an Emma Carney role, even though she's technically like a sort of a wing high half forward. So... yeah, it'll be interesting. I think against Gold Coast, I think you remain unchanged and you go with what you know and you keep the group together. But I'd have to say I agree with Crocker. I don't want anyone, like as in it'd be too hard to replace anyone at this stage. But I think gun to my head, if I had to ask the question, I really wouldn't want a Talia Randall or a Sheila, just because I think we can outscore anyone. But if one of them went down, I think it would be a pretty huge impact to our scoreboard and our capacity to score. So again, touching all the wood in my house, that will never happen anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to replace key forwards at the end of the day. I think when we played the Bulldogs, their forward line seemed to work pretty well without Kate Sheila, who didn't play that game. I think she might have been rested or maybe just had a slight injury.
But respectfully, Dean, it was against the Bulldogs.
Hey, they're coming good. They've won 4 games now and they had a good win today.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean...
no, that's fair. That's so fair.
Yeah, and they smashed, I think it was the Blues last week. They kicked 9 goals after copping a lot of controversy the week before against Essendon for not scoring. So
yeah, no, they've had a good back half of the season. Mainly because maybe they played us and the glory and the goodness rubbed off on them. Now they've been able to play against North. They've been playing against the best, and so now they know what the best is. They've elevated their season,
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Well. I'm not. Yeah. You certainly hope to think so, but that we had played a part in them finding a bit of form and confidence. But full credit to them. They've finished the season strong. I actually just looked up today. I was thinking, what's happened to Daisy Bateman? I didn't realise she didn't get offered a contract for this year. So yeah, how she fell so far.
I think she's a singer now. I think she's in a band.
Yeah, I've seen her on Spotify put up a few things. I'm not too sure. So, yeah, that's a pretty disappointing end. She was a player that had a lot of talent. So, for all those people wondering what happened to Daisy Bateman, she didn't get an offer of a contract by the Bulldogs this year, which is, probably a really disappointing career and probably wasted a bit of potential. But we'll move on. We don't want to talk about Daisy Bateman too much. Jacinta, we're going to Gold Coast this week, Saturday late afternoon. It's been a bit of a difficult one to approach this game. I mean, we're going to go with these heavy favourites. You have to think we're going to get a comfortable victory. But do we start looking at possibly resting one or two that might have that are a little bit sore after playing 11 games in 10 weeks?
Yeah, it is really interesting. I just think that if they haven't rested anyone yet, I don't think they're going to do it at all. So I think that they will probably go in unchanged again, even though I would love to see maybe one or two come off for a rest. But yeah, again, good luck trying to get them to off the field. But yeah, I think that it seems like they're managing them really well in terms of just rotating them around the field, rotating them onto the bench. I think they've kind of worked out a system that works for them and keeps them nice and fresh. And honestly, I don't think that it's going to I don't know. I don't think it's going to be the difference come week 1 of finals, whether or not a player's had a rest or not. I think Crocker's just going to go in with full steam ahead and just try and smash up the Gold Coast. I think the earlier we put on the goals, the earlier we can then play some bruise-free footy. So I think that's going to.
Yeah, I do agree with that, Claire. Maybe last quarter for 8 goals up. That look, it's not worth having Jazz Garner in the heart of the midfield. Ash Riddell, maybe Talia Randall. We put her on the bench as well. We just probably put the cue in the rack a bit.
Awesome, Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. Look, I'm interested in seeing what happens with like a Charlie Rowbottom who's there and how because they've got. I still think that Gold Coast will want to finish with a bit of pride, and I think they'll give it a red hot crack. But I think if North are smart, they might try and sort of smash them in the first couple of quarters, and then maybe in the third try a few different tactics and some ideas they might have in finals. And then, chuck all the stars on ice for, the best part of the last quarter and, see what sort of happens. But I will be interested to see how Crocker approaches it because, it is the minor premiership. They do want to win. And I do think, I'll be fascinated to see if they do try any tactics out in the game against, respectfully, a bit of a lesser side. So, we might see that. I think you're right, Justin. I think they also will go unchanged. I think the idea is that you keep the playing group together, you keep them strong and tight, and with one mission in mind. So it'll be interesting. I'm excited though. It's a 5 o'clock game.
Yeah, 5 Saturday at Arden Street. The last game at Arden Street. Do you think, Claire? Just while you got you there, are they going to play any finals at Arden Street?
God, I hope so. That would be the dream. That would, honestly, I might start crying with joy if that happens. I think it'll rely on the fact that it'll be a daytime final on the premise that we can't really put the lights up there for coverage at Arden Street. So, I know that we've played at Punt Road or the Swinburne Centre, I'm pretty sure, for a final. I don't mind Icon. I really like playing at Icon because I think if that's where the grand final is going to be, it's nice to get a practice run there as much as Arden Street's the dream. But I'm pretty stoked with the 5 o'clock on the Friday night. It's a nice twilight sort of session. Maybe have a couple of drinks up on the hill, the Mazda Hill, and cheer on the girls. Hopefully it's brimmed. I know it's a long weekend, but hopefully we're packed to the brim. Are you guys getting along to the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I should be able to get along. I don't think I've got anything planned at all because no kids basketball this Saturday. So it's Saturday night, isn't it? Not. I think you mentioned Friday. Before,
did I?
So,
sorry, it's
yeah.
Saturday.
No. It's just I was going to double check, but I'm pretty sure it's Saturday 5:10. So I'll definitely try and get down for possibly the last game at Arden Street this year. We don't know what the finals hold. I mean, I guess Jacinta, Melbourne didn't get a home final at Casey Fields last year. We had to go to Icon Park. I guess it makes sense that probably we're going to play our home finals at Icon Park.
It does seem that way, but I would love to see a final at Arden Street. But Icon Park is a good place to watch women's footy. I like the fact that you can get a seat and then you can see from pretty much anywhere where you're sitting. Whereas Arden Street, as good as it is and as much as I love it, if you get there a little bit late, you can end up sitting behind somebody who does not move all game. So it's a hard spot. It's a hard spot. And
that's fine for me, Jacinta, because I just pace around the game and I just get nervous the entire time, so I'm constantly moving.
When I go by myself, I'm happy to do that. But the last game I went with an older lady and I just felt really bad being like, okay, we're kicking down this end, let's move. So I think I'll just have to pick who I go with a little bit more carefully, and then I can do a U and stuff around.
Yeah. I generally go to our half forward flanks. I just alternate wherever it is, and just sometimes just watch the back line how they communicate, or I might watch the forward line and how they communicate, whether they push up the field and how hard they want to transition the ball. So, that's what I generally do. But, look, it can be tricky, Arden Street, to watch football. And I agree, Icon Park does have good seating there. It would be but it would be, like, I guess, Claire, if we play the Crows in the first week of the finals, which is looking likely, Interstate Club, they might keep the first final at Arden Street.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I've been probably on that ladder predictor for way too long for a lot of today, trying to figure it all out. But it does look likely that we'll remain top spot and play 4, which could be, I think Freo would have to get a huge percentage to make up the difference between them and Adelaide. But yeah, Adelaide have Geelong down in GMHBA, which I don't think will be an easy feat, but I still think they'll beat them. I'm not sure who Freo have because they do have the capacity to slip into the 4. Do you guys know who they have next week?
I think it's pretty average opposition.
Okay.
It might be. I'll just look for you now.
Yeah, cheers.
But I would.
Yeah. Hang on, sorry. So
I'd-
they got the Bulldogs at home. So
Oh, okay. Well, that's
yeah.
interesting. That'll be very interesting. I mean, I don't know whether, because like we said, we know that Bulldogs are finishing off with a bang. But look, I'd personally rather play Freo than Adelaide, just quietly. But yeah, look, I think at this stage it'll be Brisbane versus Hawks, us versus Adelaide. Pretty filthy that we didn't get the Hawks. I should have liked to beat them in a final. That would be amazing. But yeah, I think hopefully they go down to GMHBA and Cats give them a red hot crack and really shake them up, and then they come to Arden Street again and they got to play us at home, which probably the toughest task in football at the moment, isn't it? Playing North at Arden Street.
Yeah. Well, playing us anywhere at the moment. I honestly think no one wants to finish fourth. I don't even think Adelaide would want to finish fourth and play us. I think quietly they'd probably rather finish fifth and play a home final and then get the Hawks probably the next week or something like that or whatever, and they'll probably knock them off and then go to the prelim in Brisbane or something like that. So
that's actually
what
so true.
But I mean, I guess at the end of the day, you get a double chance if you finish fourth, and you might get they might get lucky. Who knows? They're a good team, good honest team. But I got no fears about them. I mean, we played them in Norwood after a 5-day break, and we still got the chocolates over them just recently. So but this is what you have to do. You have to look forward, don't you? And think about what's coming up. This is what we do.
Who's your biggest threat then? Who do you think?
I think Brisbane. Yeah.
Yeah, you reckon? That's so.
Yeah, they're about the only one.
Okay, so that the one team that you don't want to play in the grand final is Brisbane.
Oh, I'm happy to play them in the grand final. I'd be confident we'd knock them off. But they're the only team I could possibly see knocking us off. With any confidence, I don't think anyone will even get close.
You said that about Adelaide though last week.
Look, I probably didn't look at it on a bigger lens. Coming off a 5-day break, playing them over there, and we were 20 points up, cruising. They just didn't get 2 goals in a minute. You're right. If we got the first goal in the last quarter, we probably would have won by 6-7 goals.
You
just gave them a little hope.
Yeah, it was a bit of a momentum swing in the last couple of minutes, and then realistically, that was the only time that we were kind of scared, and then just shut it down. Justina, who do you? Sorry, Dean, I'm taking over your podcast, but who do you not want to play?
No, I'm the same. I think Brisbane, the dangerous.
Interesting.
I mean, I would love to play someone like Hawthorn who just somehow coasted through the year, but
don't get me started.
Frauds. The one I think Brisbane is they have. I know they're a little bit up and down, but when they're up, they're really, really up. So, yeah, I have to hope that they don't have too many up days in November. What do you reckon, Claire? Who's your day?
See, that the funny thing is, I don't actually mind playing Brisbane in a grand final because I think the pain and the rawness of that defeat last year would be so cemented in their brain. I'd feel more confident playing Brisbane than I would playing Adelaide, funnily enough. Because I just think that Adelaide also have been in these final positions quite a lot. We've had 2 tight contests against Adelaide. We won a prelim by 1 point, and then obviously in the weekend 8 points, I think it was. So yeah, Adelaide scare me a bit more because I think someone like Ponta can get off the chain. Whereas Brisbane, realistically, we smashed them in round 1, and round the grand final, technically, if Jenna Bruton doesn't go down in the first 30 seconds, we get an entire midfield rotation, we win. So yeah, just Adelaide scare me a bit. I don't know why. I think it's Ebony Marinoff. I think her influence, Chelsea Randall, Daniel Ponta. I think they've got more players that I'm scared of as opposed to Brisbane. But yeah, look, Hawks and everyone else are just fodder. No. I know that sounds really harsh, but they're just fodder to me. Like, we should beat them with their eyes closed. So, yeah, Adelaide, I don't know. They're just, even their back line, Bedell cruising back and taking marks, like, they're smart, I think. They're smarter about their footy. But anyway, it doesn't matter because we're going to beat them.
No, look, I mean, you look at both teams objectively. I think we've got the best, three players, almost three most important players. And if they, Garner, Riddell, if you don't, quell them, then we're going to have moments in the game where we're going to have a 10, 15-minute period and kick 3 or 4 goals. And no one kicks more than 3 or 4 goals against us generally. I think Geelong did it in round 2. That's it. And that's the difference. You can hold us for a couple of quarters, but if we get off the chain, if we have a 10, 15-minute period, we'll kick 4 goals. It's almost game over, pretty much based on that. So
you're not wrong. Even when Bella Eddie took that opportunity and kicked that sort of goal, at first I was like, geez, that's a fluke. And I'm like, it's actually not a fluke. They train for this all the
she's
time.
a quality player.
Yeah, she's a gun. If not Bella Eddie, it would have been Elise O'Loughlin. If it wasn't Elise O'Loughlin, it probably would have been, Vicky Walls. So they're class acts, aren't they? Like, you think
she kicked the torpedo. Yeah. So
yeah. But you do think it's luck, and you think, we've pulled this one off. But I'm like, you can't. It's not luck if you're undefeated, is it? It's just your training skills and your capacity and how just good you are. So. Definitely. Yeah, incredible.
No, it is. Jacinta, we've got Emma Carney will still be 2 weeks away. If we don't get any more injuries, you know where I'm going with this. Who could possibly go out of that team? Because I'm trying to figure it out myself.
That is a problem. That is such a big problem. I'd hate to even suggest anyone at this point. It's really hard because if you look. Oh, I don't even have any words. For who can go out. It hurts my brain a little bit.
Do you want me to say it?
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, go and play.
It'll be Bresh.
Oh no.
I know. It'll be gutting.
I
hate it. But give me another option. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who else would it be at this point?
I think the only possibility they might think of is maybe Kim Rennie and having Emma King as number 1 ruck. Kate Sheila can pinch it as a relief ruckman. That's.
I was looking at that because I was trying to look at Emma King and Kim Rennie and seeing who actually is in the ruck more often. But they are really, really 50-50. Like, I don't think one of them can do the whole game without the other.
Yeah, I think Emma King plays like 70% ruck and Kate Sheila can pinch in for 30%. She's really good around the ground, Kate Sheila. So that's a possibility because at the moment, as far as like for like, I don't think you could drop Bresnahan. I think she's just too important.
I thought that, and I get what you're saying, but I'm just not prepared to drop a ruck and potentially start breaking even or not winning clearances. Because I think the biggest thing for North is when they break free of a stoppage or they, from the middle, they are unstoppable. When you got King, Garner or Riddell getting silver service and running down the field and kicking it to Sheila on the lead, I don't think I looked at the back line and Bresh was great. Like, she was so good against
she's
Adelaide.
A good player.
She's a great player, but I just don't. Here's the thing. Here's the undeniable. Carney's going to come back as a halfback flanker. Okay, so that makes sense. So you're not getting rid of O'Shea. You're not getting rid of Ferg or Sarah Wright because they're lockdowns anyway. You're not getting rid of Birch because of her leadership experience and the fact that she's won a flag before, and I think she's won 2 flags, one at Melbourne and one at Western Bulldogs.
Yeah, she has.
And then the only other option, and you're not getting rid of Tess Craven, so the only other option to me is Bresh, which.
O'Shea wasn't great on the. I mean,
what?
She had that. She taps the ball like 4 or 5 times. So, I mean, I know. I also wouldn't want to drop it because I know she does have that run.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not prepared to lose. If push comes to shove, and I had to drop Bresh or O'Shea, I'm dropping Bresh, unfortunately. Which.
maybe even Neve Martin might come out, unfortunately, and push Tess Craven up the ground. It's an interesting discussion. I'm sure they're already having these discussions as far as selection committee goes, and I'm sure they've got a few headaches about it. We'll worry about that when it comes, and if it does happen. Because if we do get through the first week, then we get to the prelim, and I'm pretty sure she'll be available. So we'll sort of see what transpires there, I guess. Whoever misses out, it's going to be very stiff.
Is there a world where Carney doesn't play finals?
I don't think so. No, you can't. You cannot not play her.
Okay, I mean,
she needs to play. She needs to play. She's fit.
Dean, I'm the biggest Carney fan ever. Love her, but I'm also like, they've won. They're undefeated. You know, I'm presenting these devil advocate questions not because I'd ever hope for that to happen, but I just think it's worth considering. You know, she's doing a lot of coaching in the coaching box. She's helping out the defensive group. Like, you know, there is a question mark. We joke about it, but there is a question mark on it. How does she get back into the team? And do you potentially, you know, spoil a winning formula? Look, I'm 90% she's back in, but there is 10% that is in the back of my head thinking, okay, what are some other possibilities here? I know it's crazy, but...
With that one, I've never been for one where every player in the squad gets a medal, but if that happened, I would be so for that she would deserve a medal.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mind that anyway. Like, I wouldn't mind everyone that played a game during the course of the year gets a premiership medal. I mean, they contributed to playing a part, not just players that miss out, you know, unfortunately, like John Noble, who missed out on the grand final a couple of years ago, played pretty much every game. He played a big part in getting the team to a grand final. He should get a premiership medallion. Oscar McInerney, I know his coach, Fagan, gave him a medal, but he still deserves a premiership medal. I don't like it's like basketball and NFL and all that sort of thing over in America. They all get rings, even though they might play 2 minutes in a championship series or something like that. So I think it's only fair that everyone that played a game should get a premiership medal, not just the players that played, the 21 that played on the day. I think emergencies, like it might be Lulu Puller, Eliza Shannon. I know they only played one game, but they should still get a medal, I think, anyway. But we'll worry about that when we win the flag, Claire.
Yeah. Look, it's something in the back of your mind. Yeah. I think on that, I've been particularly impressed with the fact that Jasmine Garner has stepped up into, we didn't have enough superlatives and enough adjectives, and now she's stepped up and is just like an undefeated captain as well. So it's not much she can't do, that woman. And I'm not saying that because she replaces Carney. I just think she offers a different kind of way of leading the team as well. And that's been interesting to watch. So I guess, Carney isn't getting any younger. And so it's good to watch in the last couple of weeks, knowing that we do have still some amazing leaders that can lead the club for the future. So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting to see what we'll do with that conundrum. But let's just put her on ice until we need her.
No, that's all we can do. And look, she's been an All-Australian every season the AFLW's been going. Still a quality player. Probably still in the best 10, 15 players in the comp at a ripe old age of 35. I think she just turned. So you still want to play her. You still got. I think you still got to play her in a prelim final. I think it's
You think I'm being ridiculous? Yeah.
No. I understand your point of view, but she's a better player than the players we mentioned. She is. Yeah, that's nothing against Nicole Bresnahan. I just think Emma Carney's in the best 10, 15 players in the competition still now. Yeah. So, she's better than most of the players in our team. So,
she is a little slow.
Yeah, you reckon she's lost a yard?
Oh, I just remember that Brisbane grand final. There's a couple of times where she tried to take off and she was pinged.
Okay.
Yeah, and look, I will defend her. I love that woman. Will die for her. Die on the hill of the Emma Carney Hill. Build her a statue at Arden Street. I just think that it is worth considering. And I actually think, as competitive and as crazy and as white line fever as she is, if Crocker pulled her aside and said, you're at 70% to go into this prelim, do you think you should play? I honestly think she'd be that team sacrificial and say, well, I'm not cherry ripe, so don't put me in, coach. You know what I mean? Like, she'd want to be at 150% on the day in order to warrant her coming back into that team, I think, personally.
No, of
but
course.
you're right.
Yeah.
She's an absolute gun, and I love her, and she's the heart and soul of the North Melbourne Football Club. So, like we said, hopefully, in a final, ideally, a qualifying or a prelim, she's cherry ripe and ready to go.
And she deserves to be holding a cup. At the end, when we win the grand final. So she definitely deserves that. Jacinta, you have any final thoughts on that one?
I was thinking about this on the weekend. Jen Bruton, what are we going to do with her? Because, I mean, obviously she plays, but 7 of her 8 touches came on the wing. I think she's just kind of filling holes at the moment. I don't know. I just think that she needs to be in a spot where she can get more of the ball because she's so clean with the ball. I don't know. What do you guys think is going on with her? Like, what are they doing?
She doesn't have the role because we've got other players at the moment that are just too good to take out. So, she's playing a high half forward, and she's still showing some signs of quality, but she's not getting as much of the ball. But, come finals, she could have a quarter like she did against the Crows last year in the third quarter. If you read Claire's Substack, what she had 11 touches in that third quarter or something like that.
Yeah, she had, I think it was ridiculous. It was like 13 disposals and like 5 inside 50s. It was crazy. Yeah. It was honestly the reason why we won that game was because of Jenna Bruton.
Yeah, that's right.
Just ease through until final. Well, obviously finals in a couple of weeks, and then put her more into the middle, or just I don't know. I just think the ball doesn't go through her enough. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just gonna look at her time on game, like how much time she has on game as well. Just going to her stats now. Because is she on the ball? Like, where does she play? How much time?
She's playing high half forward at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, because you've got Ruby Tripodi's going through the midfield. They've got the 4 main ones: King, Tripodi, Garner, Riddell. That seems to be the only way going. I think Bruton might be going in for a couple centre bounces, but that's about it, really. So I'm not too sure what her time on ground is.
She's definitely probably like a person that is robbed of more midfield minutes because it's just that good. Like it's you know what I mean. I do understand.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah,
like it's hard to. I'm just trying to think. Meters on ground, clearances. Where are we at? There's time on ground. There it is. How much does she get? Where is the old Jenna Bruton?
61% on go.
Okay.
Oh well.
Yeah, I mean it does make a little sense in terms of her also coming back quite quickly from the Achilles.
Yeah.
And, managing that. And I guess we're in the position where we don't have to always rely on someone like her. And, even though I guess she's still getting a fair bit of it, though. Like, she's still got 185 metres gained. And she's only played a little bit more of Tripodi. So when she does get it, she does open up some space and give us some room to move. But, it's honestly just the fact that she has been robbed out of that midfield because it's just so packed with stars,
Yeah.
She's not going out of the team or anything like that.
No,
I don't think
no way. I just think that she's probably a weapon that we probably aren't using as much as we probably could be.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with what they're doing at the moment because they're winning every game.
No.
The formula's working. I do hear what you say though. It's crazy that it's almost criminal. Any other team, Jenna Bruton's in their top midfield and probably playing 90% of the game. That's pretty wild. But it's interesting. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean we've got some players that are missing out that are walking to any other team in the competition, and you'll probably see a couple of players that will get traded in the year for a bag of chips, like a Puller and a Shannon. They will go to another club, and they'll get that opportunity, and that's fair enough. That's part of being a successful team. Yeah. You're just going to lose players. Unfortunately, fringe players. Some of them are going to are going to go, and that's just part of it. And you get new kids coming through. That's all it is. So that's how it goes. Yeah. Anyways, Claire, any final thoughts before I let you go?
I was just thinking back to our game last week where we all had a player and we all had to see who had the best. Now, I remember I had Vicky Wall. Who did you guys have?
I had Amy Smith. It was good at the end.
Yeah, she was real good at the end, actually.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. What about?
You want to drop it, so I don't know.
Oh no! But the funny thing is, I love these girls like I love my own, family. No, probably not that harsh. I adore these women as much as the next person. But I love Bresh, but I'm also just like I don't see how we could take any. You can't take lockdown defenders down. And I just don't think you can take Gad out or Craven. So the only other issue. But I love Bresh. I mean, look at her on the weekend. She racked up 16, so she's done very well. She's 290 metres in terms of gains. She's tackled well. She's handballed well. She's done all the right things. So, yeah, she'd be pretty stiff, wouldn't she? Oh, I think Vicky Walls, did you watch her when she crashed the pack and sort of crashed into Garner and gave it off? I just thought, fuck, she's good. She's just so good.
Tough girl.
She's so tough. Could you imagine her? You're one-on-one in the forward 50, the ball's rolling in, and you've got to verse Vicky Wall. I just simply wouldn't. I simply would just... I'd run away. I'd pop over the fence, go to the canteen, get a hot dog. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. She, I tell you what, the Irish girls are having a real star moment in the league at the moment, aren't they? They're doing some wonderful things.
Yeah, they certainly are. They certainly are lifting the standard of the competition, which is the main thing. There's obviously a lot of talk about that, Claire, probably over the whole season, to be honest with you. So, yeah, but we won't go into that. Jacinta, any final thoughts?
No, after my Bruton one, I'm done. Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, sounds good. Anyways, Claire, thanks so much for coming on. We'll chat next week. Get ready for finals, which is exciting.
Yeah, I'll see you for a beer at Arden Street. You coming, Jacinta?
Yes, I'm trying to move some shifts around, but I'm thinking maybe I should save the swaps for finals. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, try to get down if you can, because it'll be a nice twilight match. But, yeah, obviously saving some time for finals are probably key.
Yeah, I'm doing my best. I'm trying to work some magic.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, hopefully I see you both at the game.
I should be there, but things can change. It's only Sunday, so it's going into next Saturday. So yeah, things can change. We'll see what happens. Jacinta, a pleasure as always, and we'll try and chat next week again.
Yes, I will speak to you next week then.
Sounds good. And thank you to all you lovely listeners as well for tuning in on YouTube today. Like and subscribe, leave comments, push that notification bell as well. I'll probably be back this week. Not sure what I'm doing, but I'll get a podcast out at some point. Look out for that. Until then, bye for now and go Roos. Oh, thanks, girls. It went pretty well.